Hello and welcome, I am Raziel, and so today I want to talk about traitors. Not just any traitors, because anyone can talk about chaos and stuff like that, and the ones that have forgone the Emperor, decided that the Imperium should burn and get destroyed and no longer exist, because if you're going to be a king of the ashes. Anyway, this is more about those who are traitors by name but are loyal by nature. This is a fascinating aspect of 40k and the Horus Heresy. Now, in the Horus Heresy, this is kind of weird. Not all the traitors turned. A lot of them remained, hence why Istvan happened. It was to purge the remaining loyalists in their legions, and though some did survive and some did escape, actually quite a few survived and escaped to end up fighting for the Imperium upon the Siege of Terra. Actually, it was quite a bit. We even have some very famous names, just as Nathaniel Garrow, Garviel Loken, and we cannot ignore Edred Ha. Yes, so my question, which has kind of bugged me, and something I thought was always interesting, is what happened to those guys? Like, it wouldn't have just been the three, because that would have been a bit silly, and to have them all die, but there would have been many more survive. Because what people forget is how big these legions were. They were like 100,000. So let's take the Death Guard. A third of them did not defect. That's 33,000 Death Guard that didn't defect. And while a lot of them were purged, if we even say 10% remained, that's 3,300. And let's say, which is quite an easy guess to make, 1,000 survived the Siege of Terra just by brute numbers alone. So, what could have happened to them? Were they called their own chapter under the Codex Astartes? Did they continue fighting for the Imperium, or were they wiped out in an extermination or execution to make sure that the gene seed of their Primarch was no longer within the Imperium? So, what happened? Well, we don't know, okay? That's kind of the answer. We don't know. And what I thought would be really cool is that they ended up forming their own chapters and they weren't subsumed into the actual Imperium. Like, they wouldn't be part of an Imperial Fist successor. They wouldn't be part of Blood Angel. They would be sort of their own thing. But the records, which sounds very much 40k-like if you think about it, would have been somewhat fixed to be, but they're not actually a Death God successor. They are like an Iron Hand's successor instead. But like I said, the records and record keeping of the Imperium would have been somewhat altered to be, make them a different successor chapter. Same with like World Eaters, Sons of Horus, any of them, right? Just sort of recategorized as where their gene seed actually comes from. It would also explain why, only 6 successor chapters came from the Imperial Fist, or that, Puerto Arbo literally beat the hell out of them so badly only 6,000 remained. However, like I said, it'd be quite cool to see as well that they did this. Somehow it's sort of nodded at or acknowledged, and at the end of the Horus Heresy, the loyalist traitors actually were renamed into something else, and were now like, you're now an Ultramarine successor, or something like that. But now let's go on to the 41st millennium. Now this is where it gets far more interesting because of the Inquisition, who I have a deep love for. I do like the Inquisition, the way they act, the way they work. And the fact is they are so nuanced and they're not that, we're going to exterminate the planet, we're going to burn heretics. There is so much more to them which doesn't really get shown. But it does get shown. I'm not saying it doesn't. It does get shown in such like the Dan Abnett books. But where a chapter could do something and the Inquisition condemns it as slight, and they're like, we don't like what you did. I only went to the toilet in the ship. And like, that's heresy. You should have gone to the toilet in space. And basically, the chapter becomes Traitorous, excommunicatus. Jeez, never play anyone who's a fan of 40k and Scrabble. They got so many words that are just winners. And so they become Traitorous, excommunicatus. Now, not all of them end up turning to chaos. I mean, a lot do. But many, I think actually remain loyal even though they're no longer under imperial yoke. And this adds such a good element to the story. Like you have the chaos, which are bad, the imperial space marines, which are good, and now you've got like this neutral grey zone where they're not on chaos's side and they're not on the loyalist side, but they're fighting for the loyalists, and just adds this whole new element to it, such as the Firehawks. Now, I'm not going down Legion of the Damned route, okay, but they were excommunicated from the Imperium because, well, they were on fire, which I think it wasn't because it was warp fire or anything like that, just because it was a major health and safety risk for anyone around them. I mean, unless you wanted to keep warm on Valhalla. So, but they are still fighting for the Imperium to this day. They are still going for them, though they are not part of them and are often being hunted and killed by allies. Well, what would be allies or people they fight with. And the way they've gone around this is they've basically gone into the Eye of Terror at the time, where we're in the war, and they've basically taken the fight to Chaos itself, which is also a very fun and interesting part to go around. But the fact is, when we see armies like this and forces like this, which aren't actually technically affiliated either side, but have made their choice, like, let's take a traitor loyal faction, a subset which are technically imperial, but tend to go a bit too far the other way. Now, I actually was trying to think of one like this, because we could say the Flesh Terrors. They don't worship chaos, but they're very close to Khorne Berserkers. Very, very close. They go so far over the top that, yeah, Khorne Berserker, the War Eaters go, dude, chill. You need to chill out a bit. But things like the Radical Inquisitors, and who use demons and demonic weapons. The Relictors, that's the one. The Relictors, while they are traitorous excommunicatus now, and they still fight for the Imperium, they will use, and often do, use demon weapons that they knit. And that's pretty much what they did. Like, they were the Blood Ravens before the Blood Ravens even existed. They would nick anything that was nailed down. They even broke into an inquisitorial vault to rob it. And while that was under the Inquisition, well, an Inquisitor, but found out the Inquisitor had been removed from office for being a Chaos worshipper, they kind of didn't care. They used demon weapons because they believe that fighting demons with Chaos weapons works better, and they kind of raid the risks and rewards from it. So these are people who use Chaos to fight Chaos. I'm not mentioning the Sons of Malice because they're pretty much Chaos Space Marines at this point, but something like the Relictors who do use Chaos but fight for the Imperium. So that's like their Chaos Space Marines for the Imperium. It's kind of weird, it really is. But it does add this fascinating element to it on how far people on Space Marines will go to fight for the Imperium. Like, they're literally borderline Chaos at this point. You know? They're so close. But they're still fighting for the Imperium. And, but again, this is just a fascinating subject. And it's something that's, I think, it's so rarely mentioned. It's kind of actually pinpoint a chapter. I mean, we've got the Firehawks, the Relictors. Well, we pretty much go to the 20th founding one? The Cursed Founding is the 20th founding. Where most of them ended up turning to Chaos, but they ended up all like Ghibli and stuff. But yeah, I just think it's something that is fascinating and something that should be explored and, focused on a bit more, because it would add this element of nuance between Chaos and Imperium. Like, now it's not just Chaos Space Marines and Loyalist Space Marines, it's like a sliding spectrum between the two. Like you can have this uber loyal, such as the Ultramarines, and the uber chaos, such as the Black Legion. And there's like bit by bit, there's like little bits of loyalist activity within chaos, little bit by little. Like the Alpha Legion, who would be dead center because no one actually knows if they are truly loyal or they're truly chaos. I mean, some are both very loyal, some are both very, very much gone to chaos. But the Legion as a whole is right in that dead center where you don't know. And I think, again, it's this nuance to the storyline where you kind of just see that chaos isn't this one and done deal. It's something that can turn slowly, and We can also kind of look. We can look at at what point the Inquisition goes like, yeah, you've just gone too far this time. You're out, and they've been kicked out, but they're saying, right, we're still going to fight for the Imperium, but slowly turned to chaos in this finality. They're totally against the Imperium. They fought so many wars against the Imperium that they've just completely turned their backs. Or like you have some out of the Legion who have just been fighting chaos for years and years and years, and they've just gone off chaos for that idea. And to further this as well, just to round this video off, this is the most interesting part of it, that if you read some of the new like Night Lords books or Black Legion books, or even some of the Iron Warriors stuff, or actually no, a good one for this is actually the Magnus Wars as well. But they're actually against chaos. They're not with chaos at all. Or their plan is that they want to bring back the Emperor's goal of, absolute secular and religion and no religion at all. It's not to destroy chaos. They want to destroy the Imperium completely, just so they can rebuild the Imperium as they think the Emperor saw it. It's in the best bit to see this is in the first Night Lord book where they talk about this. It's like, we're going to burn the galaxy to the ground and rebuild it because that's our job and that's our right. It's just a fascinating book to read, and it's something that I think should be, kind of shown a lot more. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. What are your thoughts? Would you like to see traitor loyalists or loyalist traitors? Anything else? Kind of leave your comments down below as always. I'm getting close to 1,000 now, and because it was the Orc video that done this, which really boosted my subs completely, I will be doing a video about Gazgul and Yarick and how I think it should have ended. And I will, of course, use lore and everything else to back up my points. But that's it, and thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you all again soon in the next video. Links to Raylan Games down below if you wish to save some money on your Warhammer, up to 20% off and free delivery after £20. There is also Forbidden Planet for your comics, DVDs, manga, etc., all the cool stuff. My comic, if you like violence and blood and guns and a woman in armour beating the hell out of werewolves, there's there too. And finally, there is my merchandise, cups, t-shirts, etc., all the art done by me. And I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.